Hey guys, welcome to Massive Iron Live. Welcome to Friday. Happy Friday. Hope you guys are doing great. We made it to Friday. We're about halfway-ish through summer. I don't know, close enough. Officially summer, I don't know. Right, but we're July 19th. August comes. We're kind of, cruising the end of the summer. Hope you guys are doing well. It's been a crazy start to the day. Before we get into this is a live Q&A. I've been doing this forever. You guys have questions on anything, please post up your questions. I am here to help. Diet training, off topic, movies, the new Alien movie, whatever you want to talk about, I'm good. Before we get into things, if your question does not post, try shortening it, try rephrasing it. YouTube has a filter, sometimes has a weird filter that can mess with you. So if your question doesn't go through, try rephrasing it or shortening it, that sort of thing. And if your question doesn't go through, where are we? I'm technical difficulties in the studio. You can hit me up on Instagram at Ben the Barman, slide into my DM with your question. All right. Or I even have a free community. You can check the free community link at the bottom information page of one of my videos. Or I have Team Massive, which is not a free community. And Team Massive is more like micro coaching. So if you're interested in that, just let me know. Let me get this banner up. What's going on, guys? I woke up at like 3 or 4 o'clock this morning to find that there was some cloud strike thing going on. And I had clients texting me, clients WhatsApping me, clients emailing me, clients hitting me up on Instagram. For any of my clients that are watching, there was some kind of weird security update gone wrong that impacted a lot of things globally, including my coaching app. My coaching app appears to be back up. I appreciate your patience. So I'll get up to speed with everything on that afterwards. Some big news before we get into things, and a couple of things before we get into your questions. Please post up your questions. A couple of things before we get into your questions. We are in alpha stage. We are alpha testing my workout tracking app. I appreciate everybody that's involved with the alpha test. We're combing through bugs. We're trying to get it up to speed so we can move on to beta testing. And that is exciting. So I'm going to be taking on a few more clients between now and the release of the app. So I have room for a couple more. If you are interested in coaching, and you're tired of bad results, check out the coaching tab at superlivingtoday.com or just hit me up on Instagram. I do things different. I'm about transformation, right? I don't do cookie cutter stuff. Whatever your goals are, we plot a way forward. It's not cookie cutter. We put together a unique plan of attack based on your needs, your goals, your equipment. And I work with everybody on a daily basis, Monday through Friday. I will tell you a couple things as an insider. First and foremost, I was voted the online coach of the year. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but this was by the world's largest coaching app, Trainerize. I beat out 400,000 other coaches. I don't know how, but I'm very, very thankful for that honor. But I will tell you, and the point here is that what I do with online coaching, it gets me actually a lot of unique, I would call it maybe heat, right? Or mild criticism, because there are two things. Number one, I check in every day, and most coaches just check in once a week. And I'm not putting anybody else's methods down, but I'm with my clients daily. I want to be in the mix with them. I want to know how things are going on today. I want to see their form today, not 7, 8, 9 days. Like if you do a chest workout on a Wednesday, and we don't want it to be like a 7 to 10 day lag before we look at things if you have problems. So I don't do that. And a lot of online coaches don't really care for my style because they feel almost pressured to check in daily. Hey, you do you. I'm going to do me. This is how I coach. I like to coach this way. So I'm going to be different in that way. I'm going to be with you every single day. And my price after the first month is only $89.40. super inexpensive compared to everybody else in the industry. The reason why I'm able to do this is because I coach professionally. I coach for a living. This is what I do. I have an efficient system. Anyway, enough with the commercials. One more thing. My new book is out, Massive Omnibus. Now, Massive Omnibus is going to be about 10 to 14 books. I don't know exactly because I have a million words and I'm slicing them into books that make sense as I go along. The first book is out. And if you're interested, you can go over to my website, superlivingtoday.com, or wherever it is up there, and search Omnibus, Omnibus, okay? You can go over there and search Omnibus. This is book number 1. Book number 2 came out last night. Book number 1 is general information, new information. Let me just get here. I got to fix a table of contents because I was editing that last night, but it's got over about 340 pages in this book. We got the updated pillars of success 1 through 10. I'm really proud of that section because it's super interesting. And my first book, Massive Iron, had 5 pillars of success, and I've expanded on those. I cover that. My second book, Massive Omnibus Squat and Deadlift, came out last night. If you order the Omnibus, you're going to get all the books. This is going to be 10 to 14 books. Okay, the average book that's put out in the fitness industry is like 70 to maybe 200 pages. You are going to get pretty close to 3,000 pages, okay? Not an exaggeration, for this one fee. And this is extensive information. This is my life's work, all the best information, Massive Omnibus. This book number 2 is Squats and Deadlifts. And the table of contents, has only the best of the best information. You have my 6-week deadlift cycle, 21 squat mistakes to avoid, 4-set squat protocol, some information on form on both, 15 tools to blow up your deadlift, bulldozer shrugs, all kinds of information in these books. So I'm going to end the commercial there. We'll get all the stuff off there. But you can check out Massive Omnibus. And I'm telling you, the folks that pre-ordered it got it for $69. Okay, you get like basically 12 to 14 books for this cost. That was the pre-order. The price has gone up a little bit. I will be selling each book individually when they're all done, when I get time. So if you want to buy only the squat and deadlift book and you don't want the other books on the bench press or whatever, you can buy that book for a reasonable cost. All right, enough blabble. Let's get into Q&As. Post up your questions. Let's get rolling. Woodulus from Scotland. How's it going, Woodulus? Hope you're doing well. And let me just get these things out of here. Hope you're doing well. I hope one day, it's still one of my dreams to have a small little second, I wouldn't call it a home, but a place to go over there because I love the country, maybe in Scotland or northern UK. Paul from Team Massive, how's it going? Big Joe B, a client of mine. How's it going, Joe B? Hope you're having a good Friday. Have a good one. I need to go. The squat rack is singing her siren song to me. Get after it, Woodulus. Hope you have a good workout. Dumbbells and Donuts, what's going on? Didn't expect to see you from the sunny Czech Republic. We'll be watching on the plane journey home. Have fun, man. Enjoy the weekend. I hope the weather is good for you. Barbell Beauty. Now, if you don't follow this crazy woman on Instagram, you should. We have so many amazing people on Team Massive. You can go to teammassiveiron.com to join. So many amazing people. And it's just a pleasure to watch and be a part of her journey, part of all their journeys, really. Paul was on here earlier, Joe, all these guys. But she is, I'm just amazed because I've been watching her train hard. She has a family, young kids. She's a school teacher, and she just continues to crush her training without any excuses at all. Her physique is just looking amazing, just coming around, just really, it excites me to see people just get in the pit and just move forward. Shelly, a client of mine. How's it going, Shelly? It's a call to arms today. I hope you're doing good. Shelly is one of my favorite people as well. Shelly may or may not be in her 60s. She kind of looks like she's 39. But, we'll just kind of leave it at that. Just amazing hard work, deadlifting, squatting, doing all the stuff, and no excuses. Barbell Beauty, 5, 10, 10, 20. That's my bench protocol for anybody curious. On a cut sucks. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt it does. On a bulk, it's amazing. Thanks for everything you do. Loving bench press right now. Thank you. And what do we got here? Joe G. Big, hairy, ugly dude. Those 5 words. If you skip leg training. Okay, I'm scared to look at the rest, Joe. I'm scared to look at the rest. If you skip leg training, will the upper body actually stop growing? No. Or will you just end up with chicken legs? Yes. Is there any truth to the lower body training? You're not going to get big legs by only training the upper body. There is some hint physiologically of a training effect where if you only train one arm, the other arm might grow a little. I don't know the ins and outs, but you have to train legs. You have to keep your legs up. You don't have to be a squatter. You don't have to be a mega uber leg presser, but be smart. Train your legs a little bit. Keep up some strength. There's no downside. Even if you don't want Tom Platz legs or bodybuilders legs, that's fine. But keep up a degree of strength in your legs because that's going to be good for health-wise, for general functional strength, for longevity, all kinds of things. And plus, ain't nobody want chicken legs. Come on. But I got something in my eye. I'm not crying at this chicken legs question. It's just making me a little sad. But yeah, realistically, I'm going to be 57 this year, folks. Okay, I'm going to be 57. I'm in the last, act of my life, and looking good is great, but being able to have functional, strong legs as you age is great as well. And you got to train them to a reasonable degree. Big Justin Jones, what's going on? JJ, good morning, big hairy ugly dude and team massive. No questions, but I'm sure I'll come up with something good, man. Just plow on the questions, would you? Big JP, tips and recommendations for someone starting neck training. Number 1, be smart about it. Don't overdo it. Here's the thing. If you want to build big arms, it's going to take 5-10 years. A lot of people approach neck training or forearm training or whatever, and they're like, boom, they kind of have this vision. I'm going to start neck training and my neck is going to be big. No, it's not. You have to approach neck training the same way you have to approach chest training. 5 to 10 years of hard progressive overload. Now, I'm just being honest with you, and I'm not trying to dissuade you, but we only have so much gym time during the week. I've never, and I'm not trying to dissuade you, I'm just being real with you. I've never seen an experienced lifter that doesn't have a big neck. Then they're not doing neck training. Okay, they're not. You're going to get a big neck just from doing everything else. All the work and the hard and the lifting and the pulling and the handling barbells over 10 years, you're going to naturally get a big neck. Okay. If you want to do extra neck training, that's on you, but you need to do it like you are going to do everything else. When people train chest, it's like, yeah, chest day, right? Chest day, chesticles, bench day, bench Monday, chest Monday. We don't have neck Thursday, right? When's the last time you were in the gym, saw someone training neck like their life depended on it? When's the last time you were in the gym, saw someone training calves like their life depended on it? That's how you have to train these body parts. Not saying you need to do a lot of volume. I want you to be really safe with the spine and the neck because a lot of bad things can happen. But if you're going to train it, you better train it with a purpose, right? There's no foo-foo fluff around. I'm going to train neck and do a little bobby head bobby with 5 pounds. Ooh, look at me. Like, that's not going to cut it, right? If you actually want size, you have to be smart. Go slow, progressively overload. For the love of all things holy, go slow and take care of that neck. Because I can tell you, you're going to end up jacking up that neck. If you're not careful, you're going to end up in a world of hurt. You're going to end up with headaches. You're going to end up with all sorts of things. So be smart, go slow, and understand it's a long process. Stein, what's going on? Stein, welcome to the party. Big Billy Baker. Client of mine, good morning. I'll be at the gym during the live. Have a good workout. And Brutus the Barber Beefcake is here, ladies and gentlemen. Brutus the Barber Beefcake, thanks for tuning in. All right, we're about 15 minutes in. We got a ton of questions to go. I'm going to have a drink. We finished Monster Energy drink number uno. We have number dos, which is about 80% full. And as a backup, if you guys keep me on for 2.5 hours, we have a little bit of pure protein, 30 grams of protein with like an ingredients list that looks like a murder report, like a murder scene report, like copper cholate and sodium selenate and chromium something and stuff, right? That's got to be healthy. Right? Got to be healthy. I'm just being facetious. So post up your questions, guys. I will stay on as long as you have questions. Big Marvin Thomas. How's it going, Marvin? A client of mine. Email. I'm going to put you in the shame corner. I didn't get an email from you. I did not get an email from you. You came on to live 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I don't recall getting an email from you. So I think you got my email wrong because I waited for your email and I did not get it. So let's double check. I'm going to put it up here. Any of you guys can email me if you have questions or whatever you don't want to post. The old Massive Iron Live. I don't really care. Spam my email, whatever. Send me hate. Tell me I'm ugly and old. Tell me I don't know anything about lifting. Whatever you want to do. There's my email, right? I got to tell you a funny story. I posted this on social media. And I'm very curious to what you guys think. So what I'm going to say, feel free to drop a comment down below and let me know if I'm an idiot. So on social media last night, Instagram, I posted a comment that a 400-pound squat is harder for the average lifter to get to. Maybe the hardest, one of the hardest things for the average lifter to get to. A 400-pound squat that's deep and with good form. We're not talking about a half squat. We're not talking about a really ganky squat that's foldy and looks nasty. Just a 400-pound deep quality squat with good form. So I posted, I was sitting around thinking last night, saying to myself, hey, self, a 400-pound squat is one of the hardest things for lifters to get to. And I recall back in my 38, 39 years or whatever it is, who cares? Who's keeping score anymore? Lifting, how many times have I seen somebody squat 400 deep and with good form in a commercial gym or in any gym, a good gym? And I think maybe once, maybe twice in all that time. Well, I trained in some powerlifting gyms with Donnie Thompson. And I trained with a bunch of old West Side guys at Tiger Fitness. A couple of them were lingering around. And I've been at meets, right? I've seen people at meets. But just like outside of the meet world and outside of training with, pretty elite level power lifters, you see a lot more 315-pound benches than you do 405 squats. 405 squats are very rare. So I posted up that it was very, very rare to see a 400-pound squat, deep squat, to parallel. And I had a lot of people on Instagram, almost, friendly disagreements, right? We're not getting into things or anything, but I got to tell you, I disagree with anybody that thinks it's easier to get to a 405 squat than a 315 bench. I just don't see it. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you think I'm cray-cray, right? If I'm cray-cray. Big Gary Thomas, what's going on, Gary? Good to have you back in the fold. Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Alien Romulus comes out in 4 weeks. Yeah, I posted about that yesterday on Facebook. I don't do a lot of Facebooking, right? Because Facebook is like the place I don't want to go, but I have to go occasionally to make sure my mom's still alive, right? Mom still uses Facebook, and my kids do, and they post pictures of the things, and you got to like the things, and it's more family-ish. So I go there to check on my family, but I tend to avoid Facebook. But occasionally I'll annoy the world and say, hey, I like the movie Alien. Here's a picture of the movie Alien. I can't wait for the movie Alien to come out in 4 weeks. And then I'm like, why did I post that on social media? Do I really need to share things I like? Like, who cares what I like, right? But anyway, I'm super excited. I don't know how the movie's going to be. The trailer looks good. The characters, Alien 2, where you had the Marines, just full of characters, great characters, right? And then you see like the characters in the Alien Romulus, and I kind of get the sense, and maybe I'm wrong, that they're a little bit flat or cardboardy or whatever. I hope not. Well, we'll just wait to see how the pudding shakes out, right? Banu, I see that you're a Marvel enthusiast. Do you follow Marvel MCU? If yes, I was super excited. I collect comic books. I collect basically anything that's 50 cents and under. Marvel, DC, and some of the DC spin-offs. And I'm not a major collector. Like, I'm not like I have to have this pristine version of Daredevil 79. I don't really care about the quality as long as the cover's on. I'm somebody you might say that collects them just, I don't really care about the quality. I'm not a hyper collector, but I was pretty excited back in the day when comic book movies came around. I think we got to the point where I was a little bit oversaturated, right? I mean, one of the, like if Ant-Man 3 had come out 20 years ago, it would have seemed like the greatest thing. Oh, look, an Ant-Man movie, right? But now it's like, oh, movie number 205 of the year. Not that it's a bad movie or any of these are bad movies, but I felt I got to a point where I got a little bit saturated. So what I'm basically doing last 3 years is kind of detoxing. That sounds like a harsh word, but I'm taking a break from Marvel movies so I can kind of, approach them a little bit more fresh with fresh eyes. I am interested to see Wolverine. I'm a big Wolverine fan, so bring that on. Expectations. The only expectation I have is that it's entertaining and that I felt like I got a good story. Like Doctor Strange #1, the first movie, absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. Number 2 was flat for me. It was still a movie, right? A bad comic book movie is still better than half the crap that's being turned out by Hollywood right now. So I don't know. Big Mike M. What is the correct way to use bands or chains on squats? And when would you use them? First off, I think you need to build up a reasonable degree of strength. You don't have to be super strong, but, reasonable. And your form has to be blessed by the Pope, a decent form. And then if you want to play around with them, go ahead. I prefer chains first. Chains work the lockout on the squat and deadlift and bench. And plus, they're chains, right? They're metal. Who doesn't like a little extra metal in their life in the gym? Bands setup really depends. Like, bands don't feel the same to me as chains. It's really hard to explain, even though they kind of do the same thing. Like reverse bands help the lockout, help with the lockout. Chains, make the lockout more difficult. They're a good complement depending on how you use them. You can use chains to make the lockout more difficult. If you're going to use them, don't use them every week, maybe every other week as part of your program, and stick with reasonable rep ranges. Unless you are doing some strength training to build up your 1 rep max, then you could have probably a heavier week and a more moderate week. You still want to get in a good volume of assistance work. So very difficult to answer, but I wouldn't over rely on them. Definitely fun to play around with. Big Justin Jones. On RDLs, Romanian deadlifts, for those keeping score at home, if we keep lowering the bar after our behind stops moving back, does it take away from the hamstrings? It takes away from the whole point of the lift, and that is to load the hamstrings. You're turning it into a different lift. Now, is that good or bad? Well, it depends on what you want to do. But if you're going to turn it into a contest with how far you lower it, you're better off doing a stiff leg deadlift off the ground. Anything will help strengthen the lower back, but you're doing so much posterior work over the course of a week with squats and deadlifts and Romanian deadlifts and whatever. I don't think that's a good way to work the lower back. If you want to do a stiff leg deadlift where your hips are a little bit lower than your shoulders and you're pulling off the ground, that's a safer, more controlled movement. But in a Romanian deadlift, if you're driving your glutes back to lower the weight and then you try to lower it to the ground, you're going to get some lower back looseness. It's just not the way the lift is set up. So no, I would not do that. Gamboni Law, 1-800-GAM-BONI. Thoughts on Mark Rippetoe? Don't dial that number. I'm just making that up. This gentleman's on every week, and I'm thankful for him to come back, but I don't know him. I don't. It's not his phone number. I don't want anybody dialing it and suing me like, why does somebody keep dialing my phone number? Right? And like, oops, it was that big, hairy, ugly dude. Thoughts on Mark Rippetoe's training? Gain weight until you have no. I hope you guys will be rational and reasonable when you listen to me. But first off, the workout style is not, I've spoken about this ad nauseum. The workout style is not a good beginner base building strength program. In fact, in my opinion, it's one of the worst beginner strength programs you could ever do. Over reliance on the barbell movements as a beginner is a foolish, foolish thing to do. It's stupid. It simply is. A beginner, like, you have very technical lifts, and I can tell you as a coach, these are technical lifts. Training the deadlift and the squat, they're technical. They take time to learn. It takes time for your lower back to get up to speed. And I'm not trying to baby people, right? But we have real people in real life, and we don't just throw them into technical lifts and say, just start doing only these and you'll build strength. No, it does not work that way. You need to work on the deadlift and the squat in the periphery, right? Bring them up without overworking them, work on form, slowly progress. And meanwhile, you need to focus on dumbbells and machines to build up your base of strength and muscle. Those have a lower learning curve, technically and neurologically. So the best novice strength program is not going to over-rely on squats and deadlifts. It's going to do them in the periphery as we work on form, but we're going to build up a strength and muscle base on lifts that aren't neurologically taxing or technically complicated. Dumbbells and machines, and a barbell bench is not technical. A barbell overhead is pretty reasonable. I'm not blanket covering all barbell exercises, but the Rippetoe program focuses on lifts that are super technical and have a steep learning curve. And anybody who thinks I'm an idiot for saying that, I'm going to say this politely, but you don't coach. You don't see what I see. I see the general public, and these are lifts that take time to learn. They simply take time to learn, and we have to be open to that. So for that reason, a program that focuses on minimalism is completely on the opposite side of what a novice should be doing. And the rapid weight gain on lifts that you aren't really getting a lot out of, no, that's just stupid. I'm not calling Mark Rippetoe stupid. I'm saying the whole concept of doing rapid weight gain when you're doing mainly bench and, squats and deadlifts where you're not getting a lot out of them to begin with, that's just a fat gain program, right? For a while, I saw a lot of people on the internet that were saying, I'm doing squats and I'm not really getting leg development. Why? When you start coaching, you realize the squat is a lot more technical for the average lifter than you suspected. And it takes a while for the average lifter to get up to speed where they're getting anything quality out of the squat. And the same thing for the deadlift. The deadlift isn't quite as steep of a learning curve, but it does take time to learn. And if you're going to throw people on minimalistic programs where they're overbulking, it's just a fat gain program where they're not really getting anything out of it. I think it's one of the worst programs that in strong lifts that has ever existed. And I stand by that. And I hope any of you that think I'm attacking your idols, I'm not attacking them. But I hope you will open your eyes to what I am saying, or just let's open your ears to the possibility that they were completely off track. Gary Thomas, have you ever been injured? Oh, yeah. And have you ever had a skill? Oh, many times, man. That's all part of training. I haven't had a lot of major injuries. I tore my left shoulder lifting an empty oil drum at work. Hey, oil drum's empty, lift it. Whoop, shoulders tore. It took me a year to come back from that, and I had to start at a 45-pound bench and then a 50 the next week. I literally added 5 pounds a week over the course of a year, but I eventually got up to 500, back to 500 with chains. I tore my hamstring headed to age 50. I believe the floor of the gym was uneven, and I started to notice that my hips were shifting. My hips were shifting when I was squatting, and I tore my hamstring on, 430 pounds, a squat I've done a million times before. I just started moving slowly with goblet squats, and I had to really build my confidence back up on squats after that, because if you've done a lift 1,000 times, literally, you're pretty confident with it, regardless of the weight. And I've done a 435-pound squat. I've done probably 1,000 reps. I don't know, whatever it is in my life. It's just a weight I don't blink an eye at. And I think it occurred somewhere on that. It messes with your health a little, your head a little bit. Beefcake. Train to failure doesn't build strength. As the editor of Men's Health, I can tell you it's just science. Yeah, train to failure doesn't build strength. Now, I had some people comment on that, like, well, strength training and muscle building are a different thing. Well, obviously they're a different thing, but that's not what we're talking about here. Pushing a set for as many reps as you can is basically the cornerstone of building strength. How else do you build strength instead of pushing yourself? Not training to failure, but pushing yourself on sets for more reps than last time is the cornerstone of building strength. It's a major cornerstone. And to say that it only builds muscle is one of the stupidest things you could ever possibly say. Big Ernie Peterson, what's going on, Big Ernie? Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, man, how's it going? Do you think having a regimented lifestyle is important? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The people, I can tell you as a coach, and I'm not being critical of people, but people that don't plan, that don't have some form of a structure, not just in lifting, but in life, they're not planned. They're not set up for success. Successful people, and this might seem like a generalization, but if you want a platform for success in school, in lifting, your job, whatever, you should have some sort of a structure or plan your day. You can't be all willy-nilly, as Mom used to say, right? You have to have a plan for the day. You have to have a structure. I have so much work I have to cram into my day. And Fridays are a difficult day because I love doing live, and I never set live aside. But then I have to go off and do client work. And then my wife has some plans for 7 o'clock. So I really have to be structured. In muscle building, I will tell you with 98% certainty that those that structure and plan and take it seriously are successful, and those that don't struggle, and they wonder why they're struggling. Now, having structure to your day doesn't mean you need a boring life. It doesn't mean you can't have fun. What it does is it removes a lot of stress and streamlines the process so you can focus on the important things, get them over with, and get on with the rest of life, right? if you're guessing at calorie intake, or you're eating 3 meals today and 5 tomorrow, if there's no structure, I don't know what I'm having for dinner, Chipotle or chicken lips or whatever, right? Hey, you want to live like that, live like that. But if you think that's going to be good for the very specific process of building muscle and strength, you're wrong. Now, you could be one of these guys that's like, I just sleep a lot, and I just eat a lot, and I just lift a lot. Well, you can do that by accident as long as you're getting enough food in, and obviously you're getting enough sleep in, and you're training hard. There are guys like that out there, like the caveman style lift. That's how I was my first 3 years of lifting, by accident, but I still had structure. I took sleep seriously. I had my meals at the same time every day. I didn't count calories, but I certainly had a calorie surplus. I made sure I had enough food. So yeah, you want a fast track? It is not a fast track. It is the track. You need structure to your day. Again, I'm not trying to take the fun out of your life. I have fun. But you need some sort of a foundational plan for anything, not just lifting, but life. Big Owen, how's it going, Owen? Thanks for tuning in. A client of mine. Ryan, a client of mine. Good morning. Big Gary Thomas, 57. Holy moly, you look great for 57. Let's see if we can do a little peck bouncing. Tell my wife that, would you? I mean, send my wife an email. Say, your husband looks great. Your husband looks amazing. Thanks, Gary. I appreciate it. I don't know, man. Lifetime of lifting. I feel old some days, but we're going to be 57. Look at that. Look at that head. Look at that head. Right. We're excited, man. I love what I do for a living. I thank each and every one of you, man, getting up to do this every single day. And I'm going to keep going. I'll be like 77. I'm going to be like Rocky Balboa and Rocky 22. I'm going to be 77, just getting up and chasing chickens around the yard and doing this. This is what I love. Devrin, do you have any rehab exercises for injury prevention? No, I'm not being dismissive, but that's not my area of specialty. The biggest thing I get into when it comes to injury prevention is using VersaGrip Pro, so you don't encourage elbow tendonitis, and just smart and wise training. Other than that, not my specialty. There are a lot of people on social media and YouTube Fitness and Instagram Fitness that try to become experts in things they're not experts in. And I'm not going to ever lie to you guys. I don't know the first thing about it. Mike, what is a good, realistic squat for a 200-pound man in his 50s? If you get to 275 for 3 sets of 10, you're doing really good. If I had to go back in time to my 18 to 20-year-old self, I would probably say self. If you just get to the point where you can do 275 to 315 for multiple sets of 10, that's about all you'll need for big wheels. I find doing volume on squats is very beneficial. The heavier stuff, that got me a squat over 600 pounds. But man, a lot of downside to that, mentally and physically. But yeah, 275, you get to 275 for 3 sets of 10, that's probably all you're going to need, unless, for reasonably sized wheels. Big Dan, excited about the new Aliens? Yep. I'm excited about if it disappoints. I mean, I liked the last few Alien movies, but like Prometheus was too light, right? Alien and Aliens and Alien 3 and all those movies, they had a feel to them. There was a darkness in filming, a certain, not monochromatic, but not a wide variance of color, right? And it had a feel, this, almost depressing, dark, deep, space feel. And Prometheus just was too light and lush and, almost brought a little bit of the Avatar feel. It felt like a different genre. And I think it was missing a lot of that feel. The new Aliens movie will have that. It looks like it. It'll have that feel back, but I'm just hoping the characters are good because the characters really define any movie. Big Jeff Scott. Whoops, where are we? Is a 500-pound bench possible as a natural? Yes, but there's only a few people in the world that are ever going to be able to do it on any given time. So, yeah, it's possible, but it's super rare, and the average lifter has about the same chance of getting a 500-pound bench as they do winning the lottery. It's all up to fate. Devon, 400 is definitely harder thinking about it. I've only ever seen it once, and even we're talking a 400-pound squat. Then it was only a half squat, right? You'll see some people, and there'll be some ganky squats, but it's just a tough lift. It's the one thing I've learned from my years of coaching is that a squat is more technically challenging to figure out than any other lift. Maybe an RDL is second. Ventrix. I think it depends on leverages. If you have perfect arms for benching, I agree. I would disagree because, I'm not saying that leverages don't have an impact on how someone can get to 315. That's certainly a viable point. There are different limb lengths and leverages. But what I'm talking about overall, if you look at the pool of humanity, there's very, very few people that ever get to a 400-pound deep squat. And though they have different varying limb lengths and leverages as well. So you have the benchers and the squatters, and they all have a variety of limb lengths and leverages, right? But there's far more benchers hitting 315 than you'll ever see squatters hitting 400. So I think the limb lengths and leverages point neutralizes itself, and I mean that respectfully. Big Justin Jones. I have those big, long Bowflex adjustable dumbbells. I've sent a picture of them, man. They just seem like they're like 2 feet wide to me. Like when you're doing these things, you're going to conk yourself in the melon. As I increase weight, the range of motion reduces. Well, as long as you can get the dumbbell bench down to a reasonable degree, you really want to look at where your elbow is compared to your shoulder. And as long as it's getting below your shoulder to a reasonable degree, don't worry about it. Get strong in the range you can do, you'll be fine. And I hate those things. When I look at them, they kind of bother me a little bit as well. Fat Chick in a Barn, what's going on? Everybody follow her YouTube. I'm not sure if she's been doing YouTube lately. I haven't seen one of her videos pop up. We have about 10 questions left. Last week, we were absolutely slaughtered with questions, and we had a really good live. Today, we're moving a little bit slow. I just want to encourage you guys to post up questions now because I don't want to miss anything. If you're new here to the channel, YouTube can be very funny when it comes to the live videos. I had people that'll say, hey, I got a notification a day after you went live that you went live. I get that as well. So anything you guys do, posting questions to keep this live moving is appreciated. What song do you use as an intro? If I play it on here, I believe I'll get bonked. Because one time I played a song on here and YouTube, somebody filed a copyright thing. Check out YOB. And is it grasping or gasping for air? YOB, gasping air. I forgot. I'm such an idiot, right? I type YOK. Grasping air, YOB, grasping air. It builds up in this weird thing. And I can't play it. YOB, I'll put it on here. Hold on. But I want you to, next time you're about to do a deadlift set, I want you to put this song on, right? Just put on your earphones, whatever. And you're all locked in, you're ready to do your deadlift set. Put this on. It's going to have a little bit of build, and then he's going to scream and all hell breaks loose, and that's when you start the set. So a great PR song, a great kicking the ball song, if you're looking for a great song and add to your playlist, at the gym, definitely check out YOB, Grasping Air. Just a great song. Ventrix. If you're doing an upper posterior and you have seasons where you can only work out 2 to 3 times a week, would you keep rotating through the work? Yeah, I would. I mean, at some point, if you're doing a lot of 2-day per week, you might want to switch to a 3-day routine. That could be an upper lower, or it could be, a full body 3 days a week. If you're going to work out only 2 to 3 days in a week, you might have to condense your exercise variety a little bit. I want to make sure I'm squatting every week. I don't like to get more than 8-9 days out on a squat because I feel like my connective tissue gets a little bit funny. So it really comes down to execution. If you're in the zone where you're only training 2 to 3 times a week, you probably want 3 workouts, a 3 workout rotation of some sort. You could do upper A, you could do legs and arms, upper B, okay? You could do something like that, or you could do just upper legs and arms, and rotate between them. And you could keep things like the bench and the overhead in the mix, squats and deadlifts in the mix, whatever. Many ways to do things. If you need more help, let me know. Don't hesitate to join the free community. Check out the link or the description section of any of my recent videos to join the free community, or you could join the micro coaching community, teammassiveiron.com. I'm glad to help because there's many ways you can do this. If any of you guys ever want a custom workout, I do that as a service. And this is a thing I love to do. Like, I love to build workouts. It's my passion. So if any of you ever want a workout based on your unique circumstances or whatever, please don't hesitate to check out my website, superlivingtoday.com. Check out the services tab. I'd love to help. Big Jonathan. Good day, Steve and Team Massive. I'm a bit confused at times. What is necessary about pre and post meals in terms of macros? Okay, so you got your workout time. Before your workout, you want to head into your workout basically with glycogen in the muscles. You don't want to be depleted with glycogen. You don't want to be depleted with water, and you don't want to be depleted with electrolytes, okay? So workout time is here. Before workout time, you don't want to head into your workout stuffed with a lot of food in your belly, because what happens during your workout is your muscles are using the blood, but you also have your digestive system that is trying to use the blood as well. Okay. So which one is going to win during a workout? The workout is going to win. Your muscles are going to win because that's a priority. You have a physical, physical chaos taking place. So your blood is going to be ushered more towards your muscles and less towards your digestive system. So if you head into a workout with a lot of food in your stomach, and this is a generalization, everybody's going to be a little bit different. You could feel sluggish or a little bit ill. So that's something you have to figure out yourself. But about 2 hours before, and this is give or take, 2 hours, 1.5, 2.5, whatever works for you, whatever that window is, an hour, could be an hour, hour and a half. 300-400 calories, 500, maybe more if you feel you need it, with some form of carbs like potatoes or rice, some protein, and something sodium, at least sodium. Sodium is a vital electrolyte. One could say it's a very vital performance electrolyte. If you look at the research, all electrolytes are vital, but sodium plays a major role in performance. And when we sweat, we lose more sodium than we do the other electrolytes. So we have to take salt seriously. So about 1.5, 2.5 hours before, you want to take in your 300, 400, 500, 700 calories, whatever you want, with some carbotrons, with some protein, with some salt at least, and with some agua. That's water for you keeping score at home. That's pre. You could also 30 minutes before, if you have the calories and the wherewithal, to take in some simple carbs to make sure you've got a little backup plan for your glycogen, maybe a little Debbie snack cake, right? Something like that. or similar. Now, if you're working out in a hot environment, you want to start sipping something with electrolytes probably about an hour before. Just slowly. Don't overdo it. Don't oversaturate. But you probably want to start sipping something with electrolytes, at least salt, an hour before, like a low-calorie Gatorade or a calorie Gatorade if you have the calories and want the extra glycogen, carbs as well. Post-workout, while we don't need to panic about the post-workout window of opportunity, it makes sense to start the recovery process. So what I suggest, and this isn't critical, and you're not going to die if you don't do it, but it's probably a good practice. There's really no reason not to do it. It's post-workout. Have something like a whey shake or something like this. Get in your 30 grams of protein, get recovery process started. And I used to get in some simple sugars. You're depleted. Let's get some simple carbotrons in the system. Let's get the glycogen replenished. 200, 300, 400 calories of simple carbs. I used to do 30 to 50 grams of protein post-workout and simple carbs. Whatever fits your macros, so to speak, but that's what I would look at. Make sure that what you have taking in has some sodium as well, because that'll be this has 240 milligrams of sodium. So these are really, really good, convenient. And then usually I would eat about an hour and a half to 2 hours later after my workout, because I was driving home. I had to do the things, feed the dog, kiss the wife, check the mail, whatever you got to do. You'd eat dinner, and then you'd have the big meal with all the stuff and the complex carbs and the fats and the meat and whatever, and then maybe a little snacky wacky before bed, and you're good to go. But I hope that generalization helps a little bit. Hippity Hobbit. Hey, Steve, sorry if this is a stupid question, but what kind of progression scheme would you, never a stupid question on progression, would you run on the bench if you're trying to build the chest? Now, the chest progression won't matter as long as you're getting in a reasonable volume. So you're going to pick one that works. If you want to build the chest on bench, the one thing you want to watch for is that you're not bouncing it off your chest. You want to kiss the chest. You want to control it down, kiss the chest, and drive up. If you're bouncing, or if you're stopping short, you're not engaging as much of the chest as you could. You want to make sure your grip is a little bit wider, not narrow. A little bit wider is going to incorporate a little bit more chest rather than triceps, a little bit more, but we're fine-tuning the knobs a little bit, if you know what I'm saying. Now, you want to back your chest, bench press with exercises that are going to work the chest. You can do like a barrel press, which is like this, with dumbbells. You get down here, you control it down, feel the chest, and punch back up. You can get reasonably heavy weight, and I believe the barrel press is much better than the dumbbell fly or the cable crossover or anything else like that as far as chest options. And I'm going to write that down because that's actually a good video topic. Why barrel press is better than flies, crossovers, etc. It simply is. It's not going to be as heavy as the dumbbell bench, but you get a really good chest feel. And then you can also do the guillotine press, where you have arms flared and you lower the weight until you get a chest stretch, like here. Your arms don't have to be perfectly 90 degrees. We want to take care of our shoulders, so we want them in a comfortable position. But the guillotine press, you're not specifically trying to lower it to your Adam's apple, but you're trying to lower it down in that region until you get a slight chest stretch, and then I press back up. Underrated exercise, machine chest press or plate-loaded chest press. You can really do those, get a good feel on your chest while using heavy weight and a good progression. What progression scheme, it doesn't matter, but you just want a chest protocol that isn't just bouncing bench press. You want to really be focused on a good quality, well-rounded group of exercises. I would do a quality bench press, a really good dumbbell bench, maybe add in the barrel press and a plate loaded or machine chest press or pec deck at the end weekly. Big Ernie Peterson. For getting my 12 and 16-year-old sons into fitness, first off, when we get the young guns into fitness, we need to not do squats and deadlifts. Okay. We need to focus on things that are more neurologically and technically friendly, like dumbbells and machines. You can do bench, but we're not going to do RDLs. We're not going to do posterior chain movements. We're going to spend at least 6 weeks or 6 months focusing on lifts that are a little bit more friendly, building up the strength base, building up the muscle base. And then if they show a reasonable degree of proficiency, then we can putz around and maybe consider posterior chain movements. I trained my daughter and she competed in powerlifting many times, but early on, we did not do squats. We did not do deadlifts. We did a lot of dumbbell work. Leg work, we would do lunges and we would do goblet squats. So be really careful about that. If you need more information, Ernie, just hit me up. I have a few plans lying around, my friend. Robert V has the higher intensity to compensate for loss of weekly volume been settled as pointless in case of 2 days per week. Well, here's the thing. It's a non-argument, and let me explain why. We always want to be focused on maximizing sets and exercises, okay? That's our main focus. We don't simply do more volume and then stop focusing on maximizing sets. The intensity always has to be there, okay? That is a cornerstone of everything we do. Now, we don't have to push every set to the limit, but the intensity always has to be there. That is a cornerstone of lifting. So it's not like, hey, I train less, now I have to add in intensity. What you can do when you train less is focus on maximizing more of the sets. Okay, so let's say you're training 4 days a week, and on some exercises, you only do maximize the last set. Let's say on dumbbell bench, you do 10 with the same weight, you do 10, 10, and then max reps on the last set. And we're in the long run there. We're if we hit 12 on the last set, we're going to move up to heavier dumbbells. We're in the grind. All of a sudden, we can only train 2 days a week, and we're down to maybe 2 sets of dumbbell bench. In that case, then you can start to maximize every set. But we have to listen to what the body is telling us, and we can't just blanketly, like, I'm going to kill every set. We have to make sure that it's not too intense mentally and physically. So, yes, you can dial up the intensity a little bit, but I want to make sure that we have the function or the cornerstone of trying to maximize every exercise to begin with. So, all right. Oh, we already did that one. Sorry. Axe fan. Does it matter if you do pull-ups or chin-ups for growing your back? Okay, this is something that confuses a lot of people because sometimes the lifts are interchangeably called the same thing. A pull-up is palms away from your ugly face or neutral, generally. When you do a pull-up, you want to make sure you get good extension, a little slight back stretch. We're not trying to exaggerate it. Then drive the elbows down and pull yourself up. A little bit of back extension, drive the elbows down and pull yourself up. A chin-up is palms towards your ugly face. And a chin-up, you can still drive the elbows down to feel that back. It's harder to get full extension, but you want to get as much of an extension as you can. You don't want to do a jerky turnaround and put excess stress on your bicep tendons. And that's going to be a little bit more bicep focus in the massive iron world. When we reach a point where we're considering 2 lifts, what is the best option? Okay, this is a quiz for those of you that follow along the massive iron mantras. What is the best option when you are facing 2 choices? The best option is to use both. Not in the same workout. You can A-B split them, 1 week pull-ups, 1 week chin-ups, but that is your best option in the massive iron world. Do you hunt or fish? Well, when I had free time, I've spent so much time in nature on hiking trails. I can't even believe the amount of time I've spent. I love being outdoors. I have spent some time fishing, not a lot. Don't have time to hunt right now. It's certainly not something I wouldn't mind doing if I had the free time. Big Troy S from the K of UK. I put weight plates in front of the bar when deadlifting to stop it rolling forward. Yes, that is exactly what I encourage people to do. One thing that I talk about, okay, we're going to get into something called physics. The plate that you're using, the Olympic plate, is a circle. Okay, I'm just being a little bit facetious, but on many of these gyms, in between reps, you can set the bar down and the bar wants to roll a little bit. If the bar rolls even a half inch forward, when you pull, that's going to mess with your leverage position a little bit. And it almost always transfers into additional stress on your lower back. So what I have done in gyms where I was getting a little bit of bar roll, or situations where I was getting a little bit of bar roll, is I would take a 2.5 pound plate, right? And I would put it right in front of that magical circle called an Olympic plate. So it couldn't move forward. And no one's going to miss those 2.5 pound plates because no one uses them anyway. But yeah, that's a really good idea, because when you set the weight down, you can snug it back up against there. You know you're in perfect position. Big Gary Thomas at 57. I'm not 57 yet. I'm 56 and a couple months away. What lessons have you carried with you and learned about yourself and the world as a whole? One of the lessons I learned over the years was that when you get involved with politics, that it becomes very easy to fall into the pit thinking that the world is going to end if certain things don't go a certain way. When in reality, life just continues to chug on. All I can do as a citizen is do my vote and cast my vote and be a good person. But I don't get over invested in politics, because I realize the limitations of what I can change, and that I can change more in this life by being a good person, by being patient on a daily basis, by expressing love and concern and empathy and all good things, by being a servant. We can change more in life. Our community, those people, the people around us every day, by expressing patience and servitude and all good things, kindness, then we can, yelling and screaming and forcing politics down people's throats. I don't do that. If you want to do that, I'm not being critical. I don't really care. It's your life to invest in. I'm not discounting the importance of political stuff. But when it comes to politics, when it comes to religion, I believe that as a community, the best thing I can do today is to be kind, to be patient, to be empathetic, to be a servant. That is what I like to do. And that is I know my limitations. That is the best way I can change the world. What I don't like is people that are political or religious, whatever religious affiliation, whatever political affiliation, I don't care. But they're very much for changing the world, but they don't live in that world where they try to impact the people around them. You don't have to do anything special on a daily basis, right? You go into the gas station, you hold the door for someone, right? You let somebody go in front of you because doing a nice act is more important than missing 5 seconds of rushing home. Being a servant, serving people, answering questions for free. I take that seriously. It sounds a little bit cheesy, but I've always, even back to my muscle and brawn days, taken seriously the honor it is to have people ask you questions. I do not take this lightly. You come to me for advice, and it's an honor. It's an honor. and I take it seriously, and I answer every question for free. And I'm not trying to lift myself on high or anything, but I don't go like, hey, if you want a question answered, go to my website and sign up for coaching, right? If people want to sign up for coaching, they're going to sign up for coaching. I want to build relationships with people. Me and you, Gary, we've known each other forever, right? We met at the Arnolds. We've interacted in various levels. We have friends of friends. That's important to me. You know, the lives, the interweaving of lives, not to get all cheesy and whatever, but you guys are important to me. Troy is important to me. Barbell Beauty is important to me. You know, all you guys are important. When I see Paladin Dance on here, when I see Mike M., when I see all the people that have been around forever, Fat Chicken and Barn, Justin Jones, Aberrant, who I haven't seen in a while, when I see him come back, that's exciting for me because I wonder how they're doing. I hope they're okay. You guys matter to me. So what have I learned about the world? I learned to focus on what I can control without getting very sappy. It's important to me to be the best person I can be. It's important to me. We live in a world where it's all about us, right? It's all about me. And we have forgotten an important aspect of life, and that is the community. We don't just think about ourselves in life when we make decisions. We have to think about the community impact as well. So if I'm sitting in my car at 10:30 at night and this song comes on that I love, and I'm just had a shitty work day, and I want to blast it, boom, and all of a sudden the neighbor's like, you know, that's just a weird example, right? But we don't just think about ourselves. We think about how our action might impact the person around us. So I'm not telling you guys to be completely selfless, but we should have an eye not just on ourselves, but on our community, because without a healthy community, there are far fewer healthy individuals. Does that make sense? All right, what do you look for in a good triceps accessory? I look for exercises that don't bother the elbow, because it's very easy on triceps exercises to bother the elbow. You can have a very strong triceps, but all the stuff around the elbow can be relatively weaker than the muscular strength. So I look for exercises that don't bother or inflame the elbow. I look for a variety of exercises. Some people are like, we have to do this form of exercise because it hits this and targets this. That's all good and well on paper. But the most important thing is to have a quality selection of exercises, 2, 3, 4 a week, that don't hurt your elbow, that feel good to you, and that have a good progression opportunity. If you have this in the mix, you're going to build big arms. Big Troy. On incline dumbbell benches, is incline dumbbell bench a superior exercise to a seated incline hammer chest press? All right, Troy, well, I'm going to have a drink here, and I'm going to school you in the massive iron ways. By the way, my cup holder, BMOC, I got this at we were in Yellow Springs, and some guy had a booth, and he was selling these Marvel little cup holders. So in the massive iron world, what do we do when we're at a crossroads and we have two quality exercises, and we're asking which is better? Better is almost always both. So if we come to a position where we're asking ourselves, should I do a incline dumbbell bench? Is it superior to an incline hammer chest press? What is superior is doing both, alternate every other week. That will be superior in my opinion, because we're working in a little bit of exercise variety. As long as we're not more than 2 weeks away from like a dumbbell bench, we're going to get the benefits of both, hitting the muscles involved differently with both of these exercises. Alternating would be my way to go. We don't have to go obsessive with this, but when we come to the fork in the road, and we are trying to determine, hey, I like this, I like that. Do both. Big Mike M. I've been stuck on a barbell seated overhead. That's a big barbell seated overhead press. Is there something to be concerned about? Well, we need to look at weight, make sure your weight is moving. And Mike, I'm going to go back to the reality of being a late intermediate. 160 by 6 is late intermediate strength on the overhead press. Your 1 rep max is 185, 190, 190, whatever it is. You're almost at 200 for an overhead press. That's a very nice. That's super strong. Mike, I'm going to give you a wake-up call. If you get 1 repetition every 8 weeks, only 6 repetitions over the course of a year on that top set every 8 weeks, that would be 6 repetitions excluding deloading, whatever time. 6, every repetition you get on your top set adds about 5 pounds to your 1 rep max. So if you only get 6 repetitions on your overhead press in the coming year, 6 times 5 is 30. If you add 30 pounds to your overhead press right now as a late intermediate, you are doing great. I know it's a frustrating process, but the key right now is not to overthink, what am I doing wrong? This is the intermediate cancer that I've spoken about. I'm doing something wrong. I expect, and I'm not saying you do, Mike, but I expect to get a PR every 3 weeks on barbell overhead press, every 2 weeks. Why am I not getting a PR every 2 to 3 weeks on barbell overhead press? I am doing something wrong. No, you are not. That's cancerous thinking. Ground ourselves in reality, the reality of the situation. Mike, if you got a PR every 3rd week or every 4th week would be 12 PRs a year times 5. You'd be increasing your barbell overhead press by 60. You would be 220 by 6 after the next year, and you would be almost as strong as me after 38 years of training. The stronger you get, the slower it gets. The stronger you get, the slower it gets. The stronger you get, the slower it gets. Doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. The cancer that sneaks into our brains, our craniums, our gray matter, is that we're doing something wrong. What we need to do is just continue to trust the process, nail our nutrition, and stay healthy. You're absolutely fine, Mike. Not changing anything up. Big Joel Hernandez, thanks to you, my bench blow up. That's brilliant. I'm glad to hear that. Most people won't hit a 315 bench. Inspired me in a good way. Glad. And that was the whole point of me talking about it. And I'm glad it inspired you, because I made a video why most people won't bench 315 for those of you keeping score at home. But what I did was show why, so people could fix it, right? But some people on TikTok turned it into like, this big, hairy, ugly dude thinks no one will ever hit 315. Like, no, that's not the point. I'm not here to be negative. I want to see you guys hit 315. So I made the video trying to encourage people to fix the reasons why they don't hit 315. And Joel, you're the perfect example of that. So I'm so happy. And you hit it within 3 years of working out. That's brilliant, man. I'm really happy for you. Big JJ. Just want to say thank you for everything you do for us on Massive Arm. Thank you. I really feel like we're robbing you. Rob me, man. That's such a wonderful thing to hear. It really is. And I can't thank you enough. Anybody that takes time to say a kind word in this day and age, it means a lot. It does, because all I want to do is have a positive impact. And there are many days you wake up and you self-doubt. It's called imposter syndrome. I think imposter syndrome is something that is very common with people that love what they do, and really want to help, but sometimes they feel like they don't have enough knowledge. I've spent my whole life doing this, and I do know I'm going to give you guys the best advice I can based on all that I've seen and all that I've learned. And I can't thank you enough when you guys take time out of your day to share something like that. Ernie, what is your favorite baseball team? The Milwaukee Brewers. I grew up in Wisconsin. I love the Brew Crew, but I'm a big fan of baseball in general. I got a TV right here. You can't really see it. I'm not sure if I could even get a reflection of it. I don't know. Let's see if we can get a reflection of it. I don't know. Probably can't. I got a TV right on the back wall in my man cave. And a lot of times when I'm coaching, I'll just put on the best game from yesterday and just have it on running in the background. Evernew 23. Hey, Steve, if you see somebody doing bad, dangerous stuff in the gym, do you think it's correct to tell them? No, I don't. I do not. I do not like to give unsolicited advice. Quite honestly, I think the more you learn, the more you realize what people are doing wrong. I can go into the gym like this person's doing the cable tricep extensions wrong. If this person tweaked this on this, they'd get more out of it. Like that's the way my brain thinks. But when I'm in the gym, I want to focus on my workout, right? I mean this politely, but the best thing you can do is work hard, and you will naturally get people's attention. And the people that are serious, once you get to a point of working out hard, they will seek out you for advice. The people that really want it, when they see somebody working out hard with good form, they will naturally gravitate towards you. And I'm not putting down anybody else, but never go out of your way to give unsolicited advice. It's not our job. I see it on Instagram day in and day out. I see people deadlifting 600 pounds that their hips are so high, it's all lower back. And I want to say to them, if you just adjusted this, you'd have a better leverage and you could deadlift 20 to 30 pounds more immediately. I want to say that to them, but I don't. It's just not our job. Don't ever do that. Big Troy S. Back in the dark ages, before the worldwide inner tubes, how did you learn about lifting and nutrition? Did you read? Magazines were the way to go. And one of my biggest passions, one of the things I loved, was getting the lifting magazines. We had Muscle Media 2000 with Bill Phillips. You had Ironman, you had Flex, you had Muscle and Fitness. Yeah, there was a lot of crap in there, and we all knew they were pushing crap supplements and things like that. But that was our connection point. And like I would read every article in there, sometimes over and over again, and the stuff, the good stuff you keep with you, the bad stuff, the silly stuff you'd forget, but you'd still read it. I really got into coaching about 20 years ago. That's when I really got into writing and coaching and stuff like that. And when the internet opened up, I'm like, information, so much information. It was a wonderful thing to be able to learn about everything, new forms of training, other people's opinions. It was a really good filter. Big Ernie P. Does a cambered bar bench give a good chest stretch? I think a neutral grip on the bench is a good thing because you can take it down. You can get a good chest stretch, and then you can press up. You can do that with a bench as well. But I think, cambered bar is a good option. 22 million want to know, I like doing bro split. Can you recommend one or guide me about a split? I put together a workout, Power Muscle Burn. That was the first variation. Then Power Muscle Block, and then Power Muscle Bulldozer. Remember those. At Muscle and Strength, my original 4-day body part split, Power Muscle Burn at Muscle and Strength, has over 3,500 questions, comments. It became one of the most popular muscle building workouts on the internet. That is the cornerstone. That is a good place to start. Okay. Power Muscle Burn. If you guys can't find it, let me know. It's also in my new book, Massive Omnibus, of course. Ventrix. You teach maximizing sets, but on your straight sets, you only maximize the last one. And the first two have reps in reserve. Can you elaborate on why? You don't have to maximize every set. If you look at running and lifting over the course of 10 years, we have to balance things, right? We can't just maximize every set all the time for 10 years. We're going to beat ourselves up a little bit. There has to be a little bit of break. And this can be adjusted as needed, but that's my starting point. Okay. I want to get this straight. That's my starting point for the average individual, right down the center. My clients, anybody that comes new to me, gets about 50% of their sets maximized. Okay. 50%. Pretty much right on the head. And they don't know this. I don't tell them this, but we have the threes protocol on bench squats and overheads and deads. And then the rest of the stuff is basically last set max rep or bulldozer. Bulldozer training, you're maximizing every set. Okay. It's rest pause style. So I give them the option. So we're right about 50. We could go up as far as 70 with bulldozer training. But the first thing we need to do when you or anybody step into training is start in a safe zone. They're going to be working out about 70, 75 minutes a day, about maximizing 50 to maybe 70% of their sets if they use bulldozer training. And if you look at the course of 10 years, a very long period of time, the biggest thing they can do is remain consistent. There is no urgent need to maximize every set if you are consistent over the course of 10 years. And 10 years is really what it's going to take, 5-10 years to build quality mats. So the lie is we need to maximize every set. And I wouldn't call it a lie. It's just not, it doesn't see the bigger picture. Over the long run, 5 to 10 years, we need to focus more on getting as much out of every set as we can. And then maximizing probably at least 50% of our sets or at least one set per exercise and staying healthy. In the long run, that is going to be a good balance of mentally being able to handle it, physically being able to handle it. If you push every set of RDLs to the limit, if every set of penalty rows to the limit, it's just not necessary over time. And I hope that makes sense. Urgency-wise, I mean, you start in the centrist point. If you want to maximize more sets, you can. I'm not against it, but what I do is I start there. And I have learned over time that consistency and having a progression approach on an exercise, even if you're only maximizing one set, is perfectly okay. Now, some people don't like that. That's what Dorian Yates did. Okay? Let that echo a little bit. That's what Dorian Yates did. Dorian Yates did ramping sets. Say he did 275 by 15 on barbell rows and 315 by 10 on barbell rows, but then he maximized the last set. Correct me if I'm wrong. Basically the same thing. Okay? One maximized set. We're actually maximizing more sets than Dorian Yates did. The first two sets were just like ramping warm-ups. I'm not using that as a reason to do so, but I'm just saying, all things considered, we have to look at the bigger picture and overall impact. There is, in my opinion, value in doing volume that isn't always maximized as long as it's progressively increasing. So if you do 185 by 3 sets of 10 on bench and you're only maximizing the last set, over time, your volume, the pressure, volume is like the weight you're pressing on the body with. Like 95 for 3 sets of 10 is going to push down just a little bit on the body, and the body pushes back to grow in a vaporous sense, right? And then you got 225 for 3 sets of 10. There's a greater pressure, a greater mechanical tension, and the body's going to push back harder and growth. That's a generalization, but I hope you guys can understand the concept or the metaphor, or whatever you want to call it, right? Whatever it is. So by maximizing one set, we're assuring that we're pushing to the limit and that we're adhering to the progression approach and that we're going to progress when we have to progress. Most people fail because they're not consistent. Number two, they don't have a progression approach for every exercise. And number three, when they do have a progression approach, they're not adhering to the progression approach. When the progression trigger tells you to move up in weight, you have to move up in weight. We do not care about your feelings. I'm going to wait until the weight feels lighter. No, you're not. You're going to move up in weight because you hit your progression indicator, and we are not in the game of feelings. Point number three is why most people fail is because they hit their progression indicator and they don't move up in weight. I'm going to wait until it feels lighter. No, you're not. You're going to do what the program says, and you're going to like it whether you like it or not. Okay, those three things are the cornerstone of why most people fail over the long run. It's not maximizing every set. That's kind of the false belief. Super motivation, got to maximize every set, right? Optimal. Optimal is sustainability over the long run. Optimal is progression over the long run. Long run is optimal, right? In the long run, whether you get to a 315-pound bench by maximizing every set or maximizing only one set, it's not going to matter. That's the whole thing. It's not going to matter. Because, how do we know this? We know this to be true because we are in a history-based world, not an optimal science-based world. What do I mean? I study history, okay? And I'm going to give you guys this as just something for you to process. Who cares? You study history, big whoop, right? No. Hear me out. Over the course of history, we have learned in the last 70 years that the specific method does not matter. Maximizing every set, maximizing all the last sets. We can look at every lifter that has ever been successful and realize the specific method does not matter. You want to know why? Buy my book, Massive Omnibus. It goes over the 10 pillars of success. As long as the 10 pillars of success are in place, the specific method doesn't matter. Some people want to doubt that. They want to put their faith in maximizing every set. I'm not discounting hard work, but I'm telling you, if we look at the history of lifting over the last 70 years, we realize some maximize every set, some maximized only one set. Over the course of 10 years, many of them, most of them, had periods where they might have maximized every set in this season and maximized only one set in that season. If we look at the history of lifting, we understand that the specific method doesn't matter as long as consistency is in place, as long as progressive overload is in place, as long as passion is in place, as long as nutrition is in place, as long as hard training is in place, as long as we stay healthy and can stay in the gym. Are you following me? There are people that want specific methods to be the magic. That's not how lifting is. And that's the beautiful thing. In the Massive Iron world, I teach freedom. I'm trying to free you from specific methods. I'm not trying to encourage you to train like a slouch. We train hard. But what I'm trying to teach you is there is more freedom to use the method you like as long as you are training hard. Specific methods don't work. More than that, we evolve our training based on needs. You have the freedom to maximize every set on lat pull downs, but only to maximize one set on pendlay rows. Why? Because of the brutality, because of how it feels. You have the freedom to evolve each exercise based on how it feels in the gym to you. We do not need to blanket cover everything with one method because that is a lie. That is the biggest lie, one of the biggest lies. And I want you guys to remember that. evolving your training based on needs, or evolving your progression approach or rep range or whatever on a specific exercise based on what it is feeling like in the gym, as long as it is reasonable, is okay. When you get the black and white people that are like, you must train everything to failure, you must train nothing to failure, you must do volume, you must do minimal work, the black and white people are lying to you because they do not understand that they are trying to focus on one variable rather than see the bigger picture. I am freeing you guys. You have the freedom to use the method you want as long as it is sustainable, because over the long run, the specific method doesn't work. It's not, it works, but it doesn't work any better than any other method in the long run, as long as it's a reasonable method. That's the beautiful thing about lifting. You guys are being lied to by people that don't understand the bigger picture. If you look at all 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 lifters that have ever made progress, they all use different methods. This is where people get confused. Right? I'm here to free you guys. I'm here to free you and show you the bigger picture. If you check out my book, Massive Omnibus, The 10 Pillars of Success, they are here to free you. As long as you have a progression approach for a specific exercise and you stay in the game in the long run, everything is going to even out. Everything is going to be fine. Troy, what was the toughest program you ever did? Definitely German volume training squats. I did the 10 by 10 with the 90 seconds of rest afterwards, and I was still brutally sore 8 days later, and I was completely over with it. I couldn't do the second squat day. All right, let me get a drink. All right. Hibbity Hobbit. I wanted to ask your opinion on 531. I'm going to be honest with you, my friend. I have literally 100, 200 workouts. I've dedicated my life to programming. I say this respectfully. I'm going to focus on my programming. I want you to do my workouts. I want you to do my workouts. I don't want you to do 531. Am I biased? Yeah, I like me. I like my programs. I don't like to worry about 531 or whatever. I don't study other people's workouts, and I say that respectfully. Come try mine. I plead with you politely. Come try my workouts. I have tons of workouts for every style. I even have one based on the 531 progression approach. What? Did I rip off Wendler? No, there was actually a 531. The 531 actually existed before Wendler. John Christie had a 531. I have a 531 based off John Christie's 531. So, what I'm going to tell you, my friend, and I say because I like me and my mom likes me too, try one of my workouts. Paladin, if you could pick 3 superpowers, what are you going for? Number 1, invisibility. To be able to walk around this world without anybody knowing, bothering you would be great. Hey, I'm going to go to the store. You'd just be invisible until it's time to check out. But then again, your cart would be moving around and people think you're a ghost and all that kind of stuff. Invisibility would definitely be on the top. Regeneration. Like, a couple of years ago, I was walking down the steps and I tweaked my knee. I was out for 8 months, just an old man injury. So I think regeneration would be good, like rapid recovery from injury. I definitely wouldn't want to know what's going on in everybody's mind. So I don't want to hear all that. I think if I had super strength, it would become very, like somebody would catch on and then they try to kidnap you and do some government research or something. I don't know. I don't like flying. So I don't like crawling around on big buildings using webs and stuff. I wouldn't do any of that stuff. I would definitely do invisibility and regeneration. I think maybe some mental ability to cast a force, like to be able to move something because people wouldn't automatically know it's you. So I think those would be right up there. Gary, beautiful answer. Thank you, sir. And thank you for tuning in. Why do people overcomplicate muscle building? Exactly what I just talked about. Because they see the 50, 100,000 people that were successful, and they see different methods. And they're trying to figure out which method is better. In the massive iron world, I teach something that frees you. I teach you that specific method doesn't matter as long as the massive iron pillars of success are in place. These are 10 pillars that if you have them in place, specific methods don't matter because the process is a long process. And as long as we have a reasonable specific method, we're fine. So that's why most people overcomplicate muscle building. And I hope that makes sense. I'm going to write that down because I need some good video ideas. Most people overcomplicate muscle building. Okay, we got that done. All right, where are we at? Everett, you said you like running trails. I'm not a big fan of rucking. I mean, if you're lighter weight and you want to go ruck, go ahead, put weight on your back. I think you're better off doing elevation and trail running for general fitness. Adding weight and extra stress on your joints, I'm not generally a big fan of that. I think you can get more value out of hiking and trail light running. You know, you don't run all the time on your trail. You don't run uphill, but there's more variability in ground types and mud and slopes and things like that. I think it's a better conditioning tool overall than putting weight on your back and extra stress on your joints. That's just my opinion. More of an honor to be able to ask you questions. Thank you kindly. That was very nice to say. Jonathan, do you find that tricep kickbacks? No, but you know, that's the thing with triceps exercises is that one can feel good for one person and bad for the next. Email, do you follow Paul? You follow Paul Carter on Instagram. What do you think about his approach? I met Paul several times. He coached at some of the meets I coached at. There was a meet where I competed and Pete Rubish competed and Paul was coaching Pete. I met Paul at the Arnold way back when, and we actually brought an Arnold cake and Paul ate part of the cake. I disagree with a lot of things with Paul. Some things I agree with. Paul tends to focus on specific methods when I focus on the bigger picture. I think some of obviously Paul Carter's methods can work, but the way they are sometimes phrased as being the be-all, end-all, I think is misguided. I'll just leave it at that. Randy, my weight has been stuck for 3 weeks. I'm down 40 pounds. How should I move over this hump? You need to eat less, and you need to be more consistent. You need to focus on maximizing lean muscle protein or lean protein. Try to get your protein at least about 35% of your calorie intake. Most people fail at muscle building because they're not, fail at weight loss because they're not consistent. They'll have 5 good days, 1 bad, slightly over 300, slightly over 200, and they keep bringing themselves back up to maintenance. The first thing we have to look at is consistency. Are you being consistent? The second thing we need to do is maximize food volume. Bring our protein up to at least 35% of our intake, our fats down to 20% if we can, and that'll maximize food volume. And number 3, from there, we lower the calories or increase the exercise slightly. So let me look at things. Paladin, for arms, what is the best intensity technique? There are a lot of good intensity techniques, from run the rack, run the stack on curls to skull destroyers. My massive curls do a combination of strict curl reps and following up with cheat reps and drag curls. I don't know that there's a best. There's a lot of interesting ways to train the arms. And the beautiful thing about arms training is that once you have the big beefy compounds done, you can kind of pick the arm training method that you like and just focus on training it hard. And there's just so many good intensity techniques that I would be hesitant to say there's a best. Big Jonathan, don't want to overcomplicate things, but, and we just had a big but enter. I'm not looking at the rest yet, but we just had a big but enter. I don't want to overcomplicate things, but is there a formula? Just being silly for or such to know how many fast carbs you should know. You're overthinking. There's no formula. There's no magic. It is overthinking. We basically get in your protein, get in your calories, have some sort of plan. It's not like if you get at 50 versus 70 grams of carbs post-workout, it's going to matter. It doesn't matter at all. Not going to matter at all. Not going to matter at all over 10 years. It is overcomplication. What's your favorite cuisine? Good question. Some days I like the sushi. I'm not a fan of Italian. I like the simplicity and the flavor of Mediterranean, of like Middle Eastern food. I like simple foods that just have good taste to them. Definitely not Italian. Mexican has to be at the top of the list, but a lot of the American Mexican isn't legit. But I like a lot of the. I would have to say Mexicans, not American Mexican. The Mexican is at the strong end of the top of the list. I don't know, man. There are certain things I like about different cuisines. That's a tough thing. Like, I've had Lebanese food. There's certain things about Lebanese food I like. Certain things about Scottish habits that I like. Breakfast. I mean, the Scottish breakfast. I love you guys. What do you guys have mastered? Like America, we're all carby barbies for breakfast. I don't know. That's a hard question to answer. Juan Jose, hey Steve, what's your opinion on doing banded face pulls every session? I think it's way overblown. I do. I don't think there's any harm in doing a little bit, but I think the hype is way, way beyond pegging the needle and into the silliness realm. Shoulder health, if you do a lot of rows, seated cable rows, dumbbell rows, barbell rows, even deadlifts and whatever, and you balance your upper body work, back, chest, and shoulders, you're going to have great shoulder health. I don't even think face pulls are a top for rear delt movement. That doesn't mean they can't be a good rear delt movement. I just think there's better rear delt movements. Now, when I say there's better rear delt movements, we always go back to the massive arm principle of having a good selection of exercises, right? I just don't personally feel, for me, that the rear delt, the face pull is in the top even 3 for rear delts. There's just other exercises I prefer. You want to do them, no downside. You want to do them a little bit. We have limited time each week in the gym. And the hype of doing face pulls for shoulder health is way past the same level, way past the same level. You're going to get more shoulder health out of balancing your upper body attack, chest, shoulders, back, and just doing rows. A heavy row is going to do more for your rear delts and shoulder health than any face pull ever would. Do you think that having an arm day is needed? No, not needed. But if you have time, having a junk day is certainly a nice luxury. Should your alteration to the Arnold's Golden Six be ran for 2 days or 3 or more? Let me pull it up because I just posted this on the gram of Insta this week, on the gram of Insta, and I want to pull it up for reference. Where are we? Oh, there it is. So I'm going to pull this up so we know exactly what we're talking about here. Let me present share screen. Da-da-da, da-da-da. There we go. Okay, so I took a look at Arnold's Golden 6 workout, and it was kind of like, okay, we got 6 exercises. This is kind of minimal. What would I do to spice it up a little bit? We got squat, bench, pull-ups, BTNs, barbell curls, and bent knee sit-ups. Not a lot of things here. So I basically turned it into an A-B split. Squats, bench, pull-ups, seated dumbbell overheads, big triceps exercise, elbow rollouts, big legs, like leg press, hacks, whatever, incline dumbbell. We spiced it up with a little bit more exercises with 12. I wouldn't do it back to back. You need at least a day of rest in between sessions. So every other day would be the most I would run it. Jonathan, do you think solid gains can be made on the massive 12? Any of the program I put together, you can make solid gains on. We always have to adjust the program based on what equipment we have and our specific injury history and preferences, but it's a good base. Don't fall into the trap that there's one magical program. Will using the slingshot on the last set of heavy bench, anything counts as long as you have a progression opportunity. Don't chase numbers, chase hard training. If you want to put that on and then hit your reps, go for it and then add weight. But understand that the first 2 sets are going to be harder next week. I don't think you're on the right track there. I think you need to kind of adjust things a little bit. Should everyone lift? Yes. It's one of the best things you can do for overall health. Hey, Carlton, client of mine. Good morning or good afternoon now. Harut, client of mine. Does the back angle matter on a French press? It matters only in the sense that we want it to facilitate a good stretch and comfortable feel on the exercise. So whatever feels good for you, the small adjustment is going to matter the most, if that makes sense. Does your physique look worse the longer you bulk? We don't do aggressive bulk, so fat bulks. So, you're always going to gain a little bit of fat over time. But if you're trying to fix a skinny fat physique, you just need to continue to do the 10-pound bulk, 10-pound cut, and lose a little fat and build a little bit of muscle with every cycle. Would you run 3s or DDP on an isolation movement when they start feeling heavy? Good question. When an isolation exercise, and this is a generalization, but I probably wouldn't run either of them. On an isolation exercise, when things start to get really grindy, I would probably switch to rest pause or just higher reps and get in the groove. Like on side lateral raises, I really haven't got beyond 30 or 35s over the course of my life. On those, we have to decide whether we want to keep them in or want to switch them out for something else temporarily, or if we want to do like a rest pause or something else. Stephen, love the Friday Live. Thank you, sir. Last question, last call. We're about to drop off, guys. Is there any merit to cleaning up the form or using pauses on certain exercises to get more out of less weight? Well, I see the cancer sometimes of guys that'll get to like a weight, like, I'm going to drop weight and work on form. What specifically are you working on when it comes to form? Enter silence. 9 times out of 10, it's a bullshit excuse. I'm going to drop weight and work on form. What exactly are you working on form? Let me see the video. Right? There certainly can be things to work on form, but that's very rare where you have to drop weight to work on form. It's very rare where you need to do that. So if form is so bad, there's cases obviously where we need to drop weight and work on form, usually with squats or deadlifts or whatnot. But back to your question, cleaning up the form, we always want to be working on form to get more out of the weight. My chair's starting to shrink. My office chair is slowly going down, so I'm going to be at the bottom here shortly. Pauses don't do really anything other than teach us control. What is the best split? There is no best split. There is no best workout. I want you guys to go check out on my channel a video called Fuck Your Programming. Excuse me swearing. There's no best workout. That's one of the biggest lies. There's only reasonable workouts. What is your advice for bulking? Check out my bulking PDF and my bulking videos. Go over here and search bulk. You'll find a wealth of free information on how to do the massive iron 10-pound bulk, 10-pound cuts. I have a PDF over on my website, superlivingtoday.com. On bulking, I have a complete bulking system. All right, guys, that's it. We are out of here. Hope you guys have a good weekend. Go over to my website, superlivingtoday.com, superlivingtoday.com. Search Omnibus. Search coaching. Come get you some coaching. Come get you my new books. And we are, whoops, where are we? And we are out of here.
It's not almost over. It's not almost over. You're not almost there. You're not almost there. You're not almost there.